My name is Jane. I'm 34. And 3 weeks ago, I discovered my husband had been living a double life for 8 years. I found out at my own birthday party, in front of everyone. It started with a wallet. Not mine, his, Mark's. My husband of 8 years, the man who kissed me goodbye every morning, who complained about his long commutes, who fell asleep on the couch watching documentaries. The man I thought I knew better than anyone. It was a Tuesday afternoon. My birthday was that Saturday, and I'd been planning a surprise party for myself. Ironically, Mark had forgotten the last 3 birthdays, so I decided to take control. I invited our friends, his colleagues, even his mother. I wanted one night where I felt celebrated, where I felt seen. I was in our bedroom, looking for the spare house keys to give to my best friend Lisa, who was helping set up decorations. I checked Mark's nightstand drawer. That's when I saw it. A second wallet, brown leather, worn at the edges, tucked beneath a stack of old receipts. Curiosity pulled at me. I picked it up. It was heavier than it should have been. I opened it slowly, and my heart stopped. Inside was a photo, a woman, blonde, smiling, holding a toddler on her hip. Behind them, a little boy, maybe 6 years old, grinning with missing front teeth. They were standing in front of a house I'd never seen before, a blue house with white shutters, the kind of house I'd always dreamed of. And written on the back in Mark's handwriting, Emily, Lucas, and Sophie. Home. Home. I stared at the word until it blurred. My hands trembled. The air in the room felt thick, suffocating. I flipped through the wallet. Credit cards in a name I didn't recognize. Receipts from grocery stores in towns an hour away. A library card for a city I'd never heard him mention. And then, tucked in the billfold, folded small and tight, a birth certificate. Sophie Ann Carter. Father, Mark Carter. Mark Carter, my husband. Sophie was 3 years old. I sat on the edge of the bed, the wallet heavy in my lap, and I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, frozen, as the life I thought I knew shattered silently around me. How long had this been going on? Who was Emily? Why did he have 2 families? And why God? Why had I never noticed? I thought about the late nights, the business trips, the weekends he said he had to work. I thought about the time he missed our anniversary because of a conference in Denver. I thought about how distant he'd been, how distracted, how he sometimes called me by the wrong name and laughed it off like it was a joke. It wasn't a joke. I put the wallet back exactly where I found it. My mind was racing, but my body moved on autopilot. I walked downstairs, poured myself a glass of water, and stared out the kitchen window at nothing. Then I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront him, not yet. Not in private, where he could lie, manipulate, gaslight me into thinking I'd misunderstood. No. I was going to let him walk into my birthday party on Saturday. I was going to smile. I was going to hug him, and then, in front of everyone who mattered, I was going to introduce him to the truth. Because if I'd learned anything in that moment, it was this: secrets only have power in the dark. And I was about to turn on every light in the room. The next 3 days were the hardest of my life. I had to pretend. I had to act like nothing was wrong, like I didn't know, like my entire existence wasn't built on lies. Wednesday morning, Mark kissed me on the forehead before leaving for work. "Love you," he said, grabbing his keys. I smiled. "Love you too." The words tasted like ash. I spent that day doing something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator, a woman named Rachel, mid-50s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense tone. I met her at a coffee shop downtown and slid the photo across the table. "Find her," I said. "Find them." Rachel didn't ask questions. She just nodded, took the photo, and said she'd have answers in 48 hours. I went home and kept planning the party. I ordered the cake vanilla with buttercream, Mark's favorite. I confirmed the caterer. I responded to RSVPs. I smiled at my phone screen as people texted their excitement. Thursday, Mark came home late again. Traffic, he said, kissing the top of my head as I stood at the stove stirring pasta. I nodded. Long day? Exhausting. I wondered if he'd been with her. With them. If he'd tucked those kids into bed, read them stories, kissed them goodnight. If he'd played the role of devoted father while I sat here alone, stirring pasta, waiting for a man who was only half mine. Friday afternoon, Rachel called. I found her. My stomach dropped. And Emily Carter. They've been together for 9 years. Married well, common law. 2 kids. Lucas is 7. Sophie just turned 3. They live in a suburb about an hour north. He's listed as the father on both birth certificates. Pays the mortgage. Even coaches the boys' soccer team. I closed my eyes. The room spun. Jane, you still there? Yeah, I whispered. I'm here. There's more, Rachel said gently. He's been doing this the whole time. Your marriage, their relationship, it's overlapping. He's been splitting his time. Weekdays with you. Weekends and business trips with them. How did I not know? My voice cracked. Because he's good at it, Rachel said. Guys like this, they compartmentalize. They're actors, and they're very, very careful. I thanked her, hung up, and sat in silence for what felt like hours. That night, Mark came home with flowers. Yellow roses. My favorite. Happy early birthday, he said, grinning. I took the flowers, put them in a vase, and kissed his cheek. Thank you. He had no idea what was coming. Saturday, the day of the party, the day everything would explode. I woke up early, before Mark. I showered, did my hair, put on makeup. I wore a red dress, bold, confident, the kind of dress you wear when you want people to remember you. Mark woke up around 10, groggy and smiling. Big day, he said, stretching. Big day, I echoed. The party was set for 7 p.m. at our house. Lisa and a few friends came early to help set up. String lights in the backyard. A table loaded with food. A speaker playing soft jazz. It looked perfect. It felt like a trap. By 6:30, guests started arriving. Mark's coworkers, our neighbors. His mother, who hugged me and told me I looked radiant. My college friends. People from the gym. The house filled with laughter, conversation, the clinking of glasses. Mark played the perfect host. He poured drinks, told jokes, clapped people on the back. He was charming, magnetic. I watched him and thought, "You're so good at this. You've been doing this for years." At 7:15, the doorbell rang. I was the one who answered it. Standing on my porch was Emily, blonde, tired eyes, holding Sophie on her hip. Lucas stood beside her, clutching a stuffed dinosaur. "Can I help you?" I said, my voice steady even though my heart was hammering. She looked confused. "I'm sorry, I think I have the wrong address." "I'm looking for Mark Carter?" I smiled. "You're in the right place. Come in." Her face went pale. "Wait, what?" "Come in," I repeated, stepping aside. "Please." She hesitated, but curiosity or maybe fear pushed her forward. She stepped inside, Lucas clinging to her leg, Sophie staring at me with wide blue eyes. The living room fell silent, every head turned. Mark was standing by the kitchen counter, mid-laugh, a beer in his hand. He saw her, his face drained of color. The beer slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. "Mark?" Emily's voice was shaking. "What is this?" I walked to the center of the room. Every eye was on me now. I could feel the weight of their stares, the confusion, the anticipation. "Everyone," I said, my voice clear and strong. "I'd like you to meet Emily Carter, Mark's other wife. And these are his children, Lucas and Sophie." The room exploded into chaos. Gasps. Shocked murmurs. Someone dropped a plate. Mark's mother's hand flew to her mouth. Lisa grabbed my arm, eyes wide, whispering, Jane, what the hell? Mark stood frozen, his face a mask of horror. Emily looked at me, then at Mark, then back at me. Other wife? Her voice cracked. What is she talking about, Mark? I turned to her, my voice calm. He's been married to me for 8 years. We live here, together. This is our home. Emily's knees buckled. She set Sophie down and grabbed the back of a chair for support. No, that's not Mark. Tell her she's lying. Mark's mouth opened, but no words came out. I pulled out my phone and held up a photo. Our wedding photo. Mark in a tux, me in a white dress, smiling like we had the whole world ahead of us. Emily stared at it. Tears streamed down her face. You said you were divorced. You said she left you. You said... He lied, I said softly. To both of us. The room was silent except for Sophie's small voice asking, Mommy, why are you crying? I looked at Mark. He looked destroyed. Small. Pathetic. You have 5 minutes to explain yourself, I said, or I'm calling the police for fraud, bigamy, and whatever else my lawyer can think of. And then I waited, because this was his mess. And I wasn't cleaning it up anymore. Mark's mouth moved, but nothing came out at first. Just a strangled sound, like something dying. His eyes darted between me and Emily, wild and desperate, searching for an escape that didn't exist. Jane, he started, his voice hoarse. Don't. I held up a hand. Don't say my name like we're alone. We're not. So talk. Explain to all of us how you've been playing house with 2 families for almost a decade. Emily was crying now, harsh, broken sobs. Lucas wrapped his arms around her leg, his little face scrunched in confusion and fear. Sophie started whimpering, picking up on the tension even though she couldn't understand it. Mark's mother stood up, her face twisted in disbelief. Mark Anthony Carter, what have you done? He flinched at her tone, flinched like a child caught stealing. Mom, it's not what? I cut in, my voice sharp as a blade. Not what it looks like? Because it looks like you've been lying to me for 8 years. It looks like you have 2 children I never knew about. It looks like you built an entire second life, while I sat here like an idiot, trusting you. Someone in the crowd muttered, Jesus Christ. Emily wiped her face with shaking hands, her voice ragged. You told me your ex-wife was unstable. You said she'd taken everything in the divorce. You said you were starting over. She looked at me, her eyes red and swollen. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know. I believed her. I could see it in her face. She was just as much a victim as I was. I looked back at Mark. When did it start? He swallowed hard, his hands trembling. Jane, please, can we talk about this alone? No. My voice was ice. You don't get privacy anymore. You lost that right. When did it start? He closed his eyes, took a shaky breath, and then, finally, he spoke. 9 years ago, I met her at a work conference. We started talking. Things got complicated. Complicated, I repeated flatly. You mean you started sleeping with her? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. And then she got pregnant with Lucas. And I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I loved you, Jane. I did. But I also... He glanced at Emily, his face crumpling. I couldn't just walk away. So I tried to make it work. Both, I said, my voice hollow. You tried to make both work. I thought I could balance it. I thought if I just worked harder, traveled more, kept things separate. You thought you could have 2 families and nobody would find out. I laughed, but it was a bitter, broken sound. How did you even manage it? Logistically? He ran a hand through his hair, looking like he might be sick. I told you I had long commutes, extended projects, late meetings. And I told Emily I worked out of state part of the week. I rented a small apartment halfway between here and there. Kept clothes in both places. 2 phones, 2 lives. Lisa, standing beside me, whispered under her breath, "You sick bastard." Mark's mother sank back into her chair, her face ashen. "How could you do this? How could you lie to everyone? I didn't mean for it to go this far." His voice broke. I kept thinking I'd figure it out, that I'd find a way to make it right. But the longer it went on, the harder it got to stop, and he looked at me, tears in his eyes. "I do love you, Jane. I always have." I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a cold, empty clarity. "You don't love me?" I said quietly. "You don't even know what love is. Love doesn't lie. Love doesn't betray. Love doesn't look someone in the eye every single day and pretend." Emily's voice cut through, raw and shaking. "Did you ever love me? Or was I just convenient?" Mark turned to her, his face pleading. Please, I do love you. I love the kids. I never wanted to hurt anyone." "But you did," Emily screamed, her voice cracking. "You destroyed everything. Do you know what you've done? Do you have any idea?" Sophie started crying, loud, frightened wails. Lucas buried his face in his mother's side. The room was chaos, people whispering, phones out, recording, texting, someone in the back saying they should call someone. I stepped forward, my voice cutting through the noise. "Everyone, please, give us a moment." The crowd quieted. I looked at Emily, then at Mark. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, my voice steady. "Mark, you're going to leave. Now, you're going to pack a bag and get out of this house. You're not welcome here anymore. Jane." "I'm not done." I held his gaze. "Emily deserves the truth. Your kids deserve the truth. And I deserve a life that isn't built on lies. So you're going to go, and you're going to figure out how to fix the mess you've made. And if you ever contact me again without a lawyer present, I will make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are." He opened his mouth, closed it. Then, slowly, he nodded. Mark's mother stood, her voice trembling with rage. "Don't you dare come to my house. Don't you dare call me. I don't know you anymore." He flinched again, but he didn't argue. He walked past me, past Emily, past his children who didn't understand why Daddy looked so scared. He climbed the stairs, and a few minutes later, I heard the door slam. The house was silent. I turned to Emily. She was still crying, holding Sophie tight, Lucas pressed against her. "I'm sorry," I said softly. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. But I thought you deserved to know." She nodded, unable to speak. Lisa put an arm around me. "Jane, we should—" "I'm fine," I said. And strangely, I meant it. I looked around the room at the faces, staring back at me, shocked, sympathetic, horrified. "Thank you all for coming," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "I think the party's over." The aftermath was brutal, but it was also freeing. The next morning, I woke up in an empty house. Mark's side of the bed was untouched. His toothbrush was gone, his shoes by the door, gone, the closet half empty. I walked through the rooms in silence, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. Lisa stayed the night. She made coffee, sat with me on the couch, and didn't ask questions. She just let me exist. By Monday, the video had spread. Someone at the party had recorded the whole thing, the confrontation, the confession, everything. It went viral within 48 hours. My phone exploded with messages. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years. Strangers offering support. A few news outlets asking for interviews. I ignored most of it. But I did respond to one message. Emily. She wrote, "I don't know what to say, except thank you. My kids and I are staying with my parents. I filed for custody and child support. I never would have known if you hadn't done what you did. I hope you're okay." I wrote back, "I hope you are too. You and your kids deserve better. We both do." I hired a lawyer. Filed for divorce, froze our joint accounts, started untangling 8 years of financial records. Mark tried to call. I blocked him. He sent emails. I forwarded them to my lawyer. His mother called to apologize for him, for not seeing it, for everything. I told her it wasn't her fault. But I also told her I needed space. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Rachel, the investigator. "There's something you should know," she said. My stomach tightened. What? Emily wasn't the only one. I closed my eyes. How many? We found evidence of at least one more relationship, a woman in Portland. No kids, as far as we can tell, but it's been going on for about 2 years. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just laughed. A hollow, exhausted laugh. Of course there is. Rachel was quiet for a moment. "I'm sorry, Jane." "Don't be," I said. "Just make sure my lawyer gets everything." 3 months later, I moved out of the house. I couldn't stay there. Too many ghosts, too many lies embedded in the walls. I found a small apartment downtown, hardwood floors, big windows, a view of the city. It was mine, just mine. I started therapy. I needed to process it all, the betrayal, the anger, the grief, for a life that never really existed. Some days were hard. I'd see couples holding hands and feel a pang of bitterness. I'd wake up at 3 a.m., heart racing, replaying every moment I'd missed, every sign I'd ignored. But other days, I felt lighter than I had in years. I took up painting, joined a book club, started running in the mornings. I reconnected with old friends. I laughed again, really laughed. And slowly, I realized something. I wasn't broken. I was free. The divorce finalized 6 months after the party. Mark didn't contest it. He couldn't. The evidence was overwhelming. I got the house, half of everything, and the closure I needed. Emily and I stayed in touch. Not friends, exactly, but something like allies. Women who'd survived the same storm. One night, she texted me, "Thank you for being brave enough to blow it all up." I wouldn't have had the strength. I texted back, "You would have. When you're ready, you find it." As for Mark, I heard through the grapevine that he lost his job. His reputation was destroyed. The woman in Portland left him. He moved back in with a friend, broke and alone. I didn't feel sorry for him. I didn't feel anything. But I did feel something for myself. Pride, strength, resilience. Because I'd stood in front of a room full of people and faced the truth. I'd torn down the illusion. I'd reclaimed my life. And if there's one thing I learned, it's this. The truth will always find the light. And when it does, you get to choose who you become in the aftermath. I chose myself. And I've never looked back.